UB Braille chart from Duxbury Systems is a helpful reference sheet. I used it while I was going through the National Certification for Transcribers United States. It prints off into an 8.5 by 11, and it alphabetically organizes the contractions and lists some of the punctuations. And what I like to do is, as I learn the contractions, I'd highlight them, and it was just an encouraging way to see that I was actually making progress. So let's hop over to duxburysystems.com. That's where we're going to download this handout. Briefly, before we get to the reference sheet, hop on over on the left-hand side to All Products. So Duxbury creates software. One of them is Duxbury DBT. It's Braille translation software. And at the bottom of the page, you can download Perky Duck. It's also a way of writing Braille on your computer, but it's completely manual. It won't transcribe it for you. So on the left, click on Braille. This is their Braille resource page. It needs to be updated. Just wanted to let you know, under the section called YouTube Videos North American Braille, this is teaching the old code. In the United States, we switched in 2016 to UEB, Unified English Braille, or unified with other English-speaking countries. So I recommend not watching these videos unless you know UEB, otherwise it's going to be confusing. And same thing with the history section. In the last year, there have been discoveries showing that a lot about the history of Louis Braille is not accurate. Charles Barbier did not invent his system for the military. He specifically created it for the congenitally blind, and a lot of other really cool stuff. So check out the video with Philippa Campsey. I'll link it up above. But today we're focusing on, we want the subhead called UEB Braille Charts and Tactiles, and we want the top link, UEB Braille Chart available for download. That brings us to a new page, and it says Disclaimer, Explanation, and UB Braille Chart. And under the explanation, one thing I wanted to point out, let me highlight it. The little house symbol is used in several different ways in these tables to reflect different rules and situations. The house symbol shows other text. The symbol is used to show which contractions can be used only in the beginning, middle, or end of a word. Looking at this chart, you'll see that dis needs to be at the beginning of the word, ff needs to be in the middle of a word, and ness needs to be at the end of a word. And I will show you all this as well if you're a visual learner. I'm pointing this out because I want you to be a critical consumer, even though this is a free reference sheet. They're saying ness needs to be at the end of the word. That's not entirely accurate. It can be in the middle or the end. And the reason I know this, and you might know this too, we hop on over to iceb.org, and we have the Rules of Unified English Braille, 2nd edition, 2013. This is one of the code books we use in the United States for transcribing Braille. We have section 10.8 open, final letter group signs, because that's where we find ness. Ness in Braille is written as .45s. And then right below that, it explains the rule of when you can use ness. It says, use the final letter group sign when the letters it represents follows a letter, a contraction, a modified letter, or a ligatured letter, unless other rules limit its use. And then it goes on to list examples such as business. So we have any SS at the end of the word, but they also have finesse. So ness is in the middle of the word. I just wanted to point that out. I want you always to be thinking, is this reference, is this article that I'm reading online accurate? Back to Duxbury's page, at the bottom, there's a checkbox and some text, and it says, I understand that the Braille chart does not show when to use contractions. Check the box and click on this text. So I'm checking the box, clicking the text. It reloads the page. It looks like nothing changed. But if you scroll down, now there's some options. And it says pick one to indicate your interest in obtaining a Braille chart. So click one that best fits you. I'm clicking on the bottom option. It says I am curious about Braille. And now we have access to the reference sheet and we can download it. I'm going to zoom in so we can talk about the sections a little more. On the top left-hand side, we have the alphabet and numbers, and just like in the Aroga chart, they're assuming you know how to write a number. We have the numbers 1 through 9 plus 0 above the first 10 letters of the alphabet. And you know how to write a number in Braille. You need to first have a number indicator, numeric indicator, or on this reference sheet, they list on the right-hand side, they call it the number sign. And that's dots 3, 4, 5, 6, and it looks like an uppercase backwards L. So you need to have a number sign before writing a number, otherwise it will be read as a letter. So in the box in the bottom right of this this handout, let's not call it a worksheet. It's not a worksheet. It says underlined word does not touch other letters. Then they have the house symbol that I was just telling you about. One house stands for a letter or letters, and two houses in a row stands for word or words. Let's look at examples. Brackets. We have the symbol for opening bracket, two houses, closing bracket. So that's saying that there's a word or words in between those brackets. We have the word so, and it's underlined. And in Braille, you can write the word so by just typing the letter S in Braille. But it needs to be standing alone, and that's another rule that you would look up in the rules of UEB. And standing alone in Braille means not exactly standing alone, but it can also be touching common punctuation. But you need to look at the rule to learn about it. It's not just a matter of typing things in. It doesn't tell you when to use the contractions. Oh, and NES. Let's check out NES right here. So we've got house symbol, NES, and that's written as dots 4, 5, S, and you know that NES can also be inside of the word. And the first column, real quick, they call them composition signs. They have the symbols for how to capitalize a letter, a word, passage, and terminator. Capitalized passage is like turning on caps lock. Terminator is turning off caps lock. Grade 1 symbol, word, passage, and the grade 1 terminator. That's saying, hey, we don't want to use all of these contractions. Just read it at face value. S means S. It doesn't mean so. And then there's the symbol for italics. And this reference sheet doesn't list all the contractions. It doesn't go into the numbers, the different types of currency, how to bold, how to underline. This is just some of them. This is to get you started.